I'm angry, and so should you be. I'm angry because of the militarization of our cities. I did a YouTube video back in June when the troops were sent in to Los Angeles, and I said it was unjustified. And I said that this is only the first step in the militarization of our cities and our loss of democracy. That was my warning. I wasn't the only one, of course, making that warning. And then, of course, we've had Portland, Oregon. And the Trump administration has used the excuse that Portland is a war-ravaged city, that rioting is going on, that buildings are being burned to the ground, that ICE facilities are being trashed. None of that is true, and crime in the city of Portland had plummeted. So the justification was unwarranted. And then, of course, we've had the Chicago raid on an apartment building here within the last week or so. It was a 5-story apartment building with 130 units. 300 ICE agents assaulted the apartment building. Some of them rappelled down from a Black Hawk helicopter onto the roof. Others just came through the front door. They bashed in the doors of all the apartments. They threw in flash grenades. They trashed the apartments. They hauled out people in the middle of the night. It was 1 a.m. in the morning. They hauled them out of bed, some of them half naked. They zip-tied them, and they zip-tied children who were screaming in terror because here were these camo uniformed individuals fully masked with weapons of war in the middle of the night terrorizing these poor children. They hauled them out in the dead of night into the streets. They separated the black individuals and the brown individuals into separate vans. That suggests something. They kept them up to at least 2 hours. Many of them were U.S. citizens and had to prove somehow that they were U.S. citizens. Several of them were actual military veterans who fought for the United States. And then they made 37 arrests for a variety of different reasons. But the ostensible reason they went into the apartment was because there was supposedly Venezuelan criminal gang members in these apartments. At the end, according to CNN, among these 37 arrests was the recognition or the admission that only 2, and this is a direct quote, were believed to be members of a Venezuelan criminal gang. So they did all of that brutality under the guise of trying to go after gang members, and they could only come up with 2 that they thought might be gang members. And we don't have any real evidence that that's even true. There have been additional incidences of brutality from ICE raids. ICE agents were on a rooftop at a Chicago facility, and they regularly shot pepper gas balls at peaceful protesters. A Reverend David Black, who was dressed in his black outfit and his white collar, his clerical collar, stood out with his hands raised, looking up at 3 ICE agents on the roof, and he pleaded with them to repent. And when he put his arms down after doing this, he was shot in the forehead with a pepper ball, which knocked him to the ground and almost made him unconscious. And then the 3 ICE agents who were involved in this incident started laughing. According to the Oregonian paper, October 6th, they report that there was an 84-year-old couple, Lori and Richard Ekman, who were assaulted by ICE during the Portland protests. The woman suffered a gash on her forehead and a concussion, and she had to go to the emergency care room. Her husband, Richard, was using a walker, and he hit the ground. He was knocked to the ground by the ICE agents who poured out of the facility and started attacking peaceful protesters. And the video shows that they were, in fact, peaceful. They were simply protesting and holding signs. Portland police officers who happened to be a block away and saw this event of the 84-year-old couple came to their help. And Lori Ekman, who suffered the gash and the concussion, said afterwards, they were very kindly and wanted to make sure that I was okay. Dozens of similar ICE brutality incidences have occurred. I've mentioned several of them in the past in YouTube videos. A Democratic candidate was peacefully protesting and was attacked and thrown to the ground. We have that on video. A U.S. senator was manhandled in Los Angeles and wrestled to the ground and handcuffed brutally by ICE agents for simply wanting to ask a question of Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security. Trump wants Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson and Illinois Governor Pritzker arrested and put in jail. He just said that yesterday. Here's Pritzker's response. What else is left on the path to full-blown authoritarianism? His masked agents already are grabbing people off the street, separating children from their parents, creating fear, taking people for how they look, making people feel that they need to carry citizenship papers, invading our state with military troops, sending in war helicopters in the middle of the night, arresting elected officials for asking questions. We must all speak up and speak out. So what are our choices? Well, I know from having written essays on Daily Kos blog that a number of individuals have suggested that what we need to do is really get tough and have the police, the local police of these cities, start arresting ICE agents. I don't see that as necessarily a viable alternative. I can picture police officers with weapons facing off ICE agents who are armed to the hilt with weapons of war. And I don't see how that would end up in anything other than a violent confrontation that would simply be a justification for the Trump administration to say, this is an insurrection, and so I need to institute the Insurrection Act and militarize the country. So I don't see that as being very viable. The second possibility, of course, is what we've been doing and what I hope we continue to do, and that is file lawsuits alleging police brutality. And if the courts continue to go along with us, that is one possible constructive alternative. The question then becomes, will the Trump administration and its sycophants actually obey the courts? The third, and probably the most constructive thing we can do, is to get up off our couches and march in the damn streets by the millions. And we have that opportunity on October 18th, the No Kings demonstration 2.0. Personally, I think the theme should be no police state. You can make signs like that, but whatever. Get off the couch, by the millions, out into the streets, rise up in righteous indignation on October 18th, and let's have peaceful demonstrations that say, we're not taking this anymore.